Krista Hassel on the right.
It's Timothy Gibbs on the left, and we are here in our first video podcast. This is our first video podcast. Krista, how are you feeling about that?
I am feeling pretty good about it.
In your purple earmuffs?
I know.
Those are very cute. Are you hearing rainbows through those, or is it all just...
No, I'm not. I figured because of what we had to discuss tonight, I would get a fun color because it would make me feel a little better about what we actually have to discuss tonight.
I'm with you. I agree.
It's a mess.
Tamp down the toxicity. I'm with you.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's tell our folks here who are listening, who are watching, about this episode, because this is what I would call an emergency episode.
It
right?
is. This is a bombshell has been dropped into our laps, and it happened about 5:00 this afternoon. I think about 5:00, and it is an absolute bombshell for Elloree. It's a bombshell for the mayoral race, and we cannot allow this to go undiscussed until after the mayoral race. The people of Elloree deserve to know what has been swept under the rug for all these years.
Agreed. It's very, very important. And I just want to make the point that this is week 4 in our podcast endeavor. Right. This was the week that we were going to see episode 4 come out. It was going to be an audio only podcast. And it was really just about, we were doing a show about 3 other small towns around the country who had similar afflictions in corruption that we have in Elloree, or at least accusations have suggested we have in Elloree, and experiences our own and some others have suggested are prevalent in Elloree. So we tried to find commonality between them, and we highlighted 3 different small towns from across the nation. We were going to get into that on this episode, but this arose, and it certainly takes precedence. It should be said that this is a lawsuit that was filed by David Martin.
That's right.
And his attorneys. He is the plaintiff in a civil case filed in the Court of Common Pleas in the First Judicial Circuit in the state of South Carolina, in the county of Orangeburg.
That's right.
And it is against the defendants, Town of Elloree, Mike Fanning, the mayor, James Kelly or Keller Ulmer the fourth, and Shawn Murphree in their individual capacities.
Yes.
Interesting. Yeah, go ahead, Krista.
The information that we are going to discuss tonight, it truly paints a picture with what you had been through over the last 2.5, 3 years. And it really solidifies the fact that we've been kept in the dark as citizens of Elloree.
That's true. And I think you will, it's an uncanny resemblance. That defendant list is very similar to the defendant list my wife and I had when we sued in a civil suit the Town of Elloree as defendant, the Town of Elloree Police Department, Shawn Murphree, Kelly James Ulmer, but we also sued one other person, David Martin, in his capacity as police chief at the time. That police chief is the one who is now suing
the
Town
same
of Elloree.
Parties that you did.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. We're going to dive into all of the allegations that are made in the lawsuit.
Yeah.
Get into that in just a minute. Krista, I just want to say before we do, it has been years and years of us discussing the corruption we knew about and the corruption we perhaps did not have firsthand experience in, but had been hearing from others. Just these stories upon stories, many of them about Shawn Murphree, our disgraced former police chief.
Right.
I asked people, Google the name Shawn Murphree, look at some of those interviews from WIS-10.
And let's spell that Murphree. Murphree.
Yeah, definitely look him up. Also, we are going to be posting his SCCJA police history.
Yeah.
And that's his entire history as given by the SCCJA. They conveniently keep some things out of that report. There are portions of it that are redacted. They don't tell the whole story, but they do give you a very clear view of just how corrupted his policing history has been. That's a guy you want to pay close attention to, and we'll draw you back to him in numerous episodes going forward. Today is going to be about David Martin's lawsuit, and if you just stick with us, we're going to come back and dive into it all right after this. Hey, we're back, Krista. Let's get started right away on this complaint.
Let's
Tell
get
me a little bit.
started. All right. So on October 24th, 2025, this complaint was filed with the County of Orangeburg in the Court of Common Pleas in the First Judicial District. So David Martin is the plaintiff. He is suing the Town of Elloree, Mike Fanning, James Kelly Ulmer IV, Shawn Murphree in their individual capacities. This is an employment case. So what we
And
have, yeah.
one other thing I want to interject. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I just
Nope.
want to interject that that the attorneys representing David Martin on this are Cromer, Babb, and Porter LLC.
Yes, that is
And
correct.
I think that people should, if you have anything to contribute that you think might be important that relates to Elloree town corruption, any kind of corruption out of the police force, any stories you might know that you think could pertain to Mike Mann, who used to police there, or Kelly Ulmer, who is now a town councilman, or Shawn Murphree, who used to be the police chief, any kind of stories at all that you think might imbue this civil suit, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. You could do that at hello@leftrightlocal.com, and we will look into your submission and we will take it seriously. Thank you. Go ahead,
I
Krista.
also want to notate here that they have demanded a jury trial in this
Mhm.
case. So my understanding is that it will go in front of a jury and not be settled in mediation like the previous lawsuit was. So let's dive in. This is an employment case. The plaintiff, David Martin, is complaining of the defendant respectfully alleges as follows. It does go through the parties and the jurisdiction. We've got David Martin as the plaintiff, resident of Calhoun County. The defendant, Town of Elloree, is a government municipality in Orangeburg County. We've got defendant Mike Fanning, who is a citizen of Orangeburg County and also the mayor of Elloree. We have defendant James Keller Ulmer IV, who is a citizen and resident of Orangeburg County. He is currently a councilman for District 3 in the town of Elloree and running for mayor. And then we've got the
And
defendant.
he is also, let's remind the viewers and the listeners, he's also a multi-time felon, violent felonies,
That is correct.
kidnapping amongst them.
Correct. And let's not forget a judgment of almost $32,000 in unpaid child support.
Right. And he was a party to the lawsuit that my wife and I filed against the town, the police department, and him, among others.
Right.
Meaning
Right.
he was a party to the settlement, which was the state cap maximum they gave us, $300,000, which just happened over the last couple of weeks here.
That's right.
So
That's right.
uh,
And then
I think people fully understand who it is that they're dialed into here and who's asking for your vote as mayor. And that's
right.
really important as we go through what David
We're
Martin,
about
the
to discuss.
former police chief,
Mhm.
these are allegations coming directly from inside. If this were a horror film, this is the part where they say the call is coming from inside the house.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. So our fifth defendant is Shawn Edward Murphree. He is a citizen resident of Calhoun County, South Carolina, and our former disgraced police chief of Elloree. And he was forced to retire due to criminal activity of vandalizing a vehicle at the Orangeburg County Courthouse.
Beyond that, it goes beyond that. He was
It
videoed
does.
also by the owner of the truck on multiple
Mhm.
occasions. And, sure, it was damage to a vehicle that he caused intentionally. But really what it was is an uncontrolled emotional response, a hatred that he has. This
That's
is
right.
his pathology. He's out of control emotionally. He doesn't have control of his emotions or he
No.
wouldn't make those mistakes. He signed his own demise. He did it to himself because he's not able to control himself.
Right.
That's
Well,
why
and
media. It's the same reason he posts on social media and lashes
Right.
out. It's the same reason why he thinks to come to the front of my building after he maliciously prosecutes me and gloats because he can't help it. He has to do it. And
That's
that's
right.
part of what gets in trouble. I would submit he would be much harder to deal with if he were in control of his emotions. But because he's
Well, and
not,
he's not.
a lot of the work for you with undoing him. But we'll get to that child later.
Yes.
I
So
want to,
I'm going to read point 6 really quick. It says this action alleges claims arising under the South Carolina whistleblower law, the South Carolina Freedom of Information Act, and the common law of South Carolina, which is important because the whistleblower law does protect David tremendously in this situation, but it also paints a clear picture that if David did not have documentation, proof positive that many of these situations happened, it could not go under that whistleblower law.
right,
It's very important to note that. So,
right.
yes,
All right.
yes. So there are
So,
some other points that we've got here, but I really want to go into the factual allegations because they're damning and people have got to know what has been going on right under their noses.
and you end up stuck with someone like Shawn Murphree, who is a absolute and total criminal in a position of power in your small municipality.
That's right.
That guy got away with murder. Although I'm speaking,
Figuratively.
sure, I may not be because I don't
You're
know
right.
what he got away with. I know that he got away with so much that he was willing to take extraordinary risks to try to protect himself. And that much I know. So I know he's got some stuff in that closet that you open that just gonna flood out of there.
When it comes to Shawn Murphree, we are dealing with a narcissistic sociopath. There it
And
is.
I just want to say this though. If the state agencies are doing their job, if SLED does their job, if the SCCJA does their job, if others in the state do their jobs, Shawn Murphy will be in handcuffs. Kelly Ulmer will be in handcuffs. Look at Kelly Ulmer with the pardons. I understand that Kelly's father or grandfather was
A
he a judge?
magistrate? Yeah, he was a magistrate. So Kelly's used to getting away with things.
Right, and Sean, same. He had a grandfather who was a
Right.
DNR cap. What they need is to be held accountable. That is really what has to happen here. And this is a call to the state agencies and the state, not just the agencies, but those who work within them in the judicial parts and be accountable to getting people like them off the streets, get them, their names need to be taken out of the hat when it comes to employment in anything having to do with law enforcement. So let me stop getting in your way and let's start reading this allegation that David and his attorneys put together.
Well, and I want to preface it with this. Had Mike Fanning been the mayor that he has portrayed himself to be over the last 8 years, none of this would have happened. He is a strong mayor and he is the most culpable in all of this because he is a strong mayor and he is the one that has allowed this to continue on and on and on. And if he was doing
Well,
his job, if he was doing what he was elected to do, if he was living up to the oath that he swore to 8 years ago and 4 years ago, Elloree would not be in this position that it is now. Period.
well, I think it's you could also make the case this way. Mike Fanning has willfully played a role in
Yes.
supporting James Kelly Ulmer for his council seat, played a role in James Kelly Ulmer being appointed mayor pro tem. He has played a role, apparently, in Kelly being able to even run.
So Kelly is also the town of Elloree. When a check is written for the town of Elloree by the town of Elloree to a vendor, it requires two signatures, the mayor and the mayor pro tem. So we got Mike Fanning and we got Kelly Ulmer signing the checks from the town of Elloree. And as I am about to outline to you, that is a volatile mix because Kelly
Yeah,
Ulmer is a criminal. He is a
there's no
thief and he's a criminal.
there's no question that he has a colorful criminal past and a violent criminal past.
Yes, yes. All right. So you ready?
So,
All
go
right,
ahead.
so I'm gonna read through the facts. Y'all, they're long and they're detailed, but we gotta get them out. We gotta get
Yeah,
them out.
and
So,
just for the record, we're going to go ahead and post the images of this filing right here for you to
right,
read, so that you have something to refer to.
that's right. Okay,
Even though I'm
so
looking at those things of yours, I think we'll take it there, and then we'll come back. All right, go.
all right. So, plaintiff David Martin was first employed by defendant Town as chief of police beginning on or about July 1st, 2023. On November 27th, 2023, chief of police for defendant Town, defendant Murphree, was arrested for malicious injury to personal property following an investigation by SLED. Defendant Town placed defendant Murphree on unpaid administrative leave as a result of the arrest. Defendant Town allowed defendant Murphree to remain on unpaid administrative leave until he was eligible to retire. Defendant Murphree thereafter retired. Plaintiff was thereafter named interim chief of police. Defendant Town later made plaintiff the permanent chief of police. At all times during plaintiff's employment with defendant Town, plaintiff performed the duties his position at or above a satisfactory level and engaged in no action meriting termination from employment.
Until he maliciously prosecuted me and signed a phony bullshit warrant on a zero crime and didn't investigate it, but claimed he did, came to investigate it after he signed the warrant, said to my wife in a communication that he had spoken to me before signing the warrant, when in fact the phone call record will indicate that he actually did not reach out to me until after he had signed the warrant. So just to be clear, David Martin is full of shit. In fact, if my grandmother were alive, my grandmother would say, David Martin, you're so full of shit, your eyes are brown. And it's true that David Martin is absolutely and completely lying when he says that he did nothing in his position that was different than a satisfactory level. He didn't engage in any action meriting termination. I would say that you engaged in perjury. You engaged in the falsification of a warrant based on a zero crime that you did zero investigation on before you signed it. After you signed it, you then tried to find a crime. You couldn't find one because there wasn't one committed, and you still allowed that dog to hunt and let it go all the way down the road. And even after the case was thrown out the first time, because first of all, Lauren Davis Smith, Shawn Murphy's alleged former lover, they could be fucking right now if this was, I know. But the point is that David Martin is full of shit, and we're going to circle back to why. Two things can be true. He can be honorable about what he's saying about this scumbag town hall and their members and still be bullshitting about my case. That's what I allege. We'll find out.
So that's right. That's right. Okay. So we are going to move into more
Yeah,
allegations. Okay.
let's call it episode 19.
So here we go. Number 19. After becoming
Yeah.
chief of police, plaintiff took steps to professionalize the department, including an audit of the evidence room and department finances. Now, here's where it starts to get pretty interesting. So pull up your chair, grab your drink, put your listening ears on, and you might want to put a strap around your jaw because it might just hit the floor if you don't. As
Wow.
chief of police, plaintiff also became aware of multiple FOIA requests for police documents sent to defendant Town, for which plaintiff would need to be the defendant employee responsible for gathering and preparing documents responsive to the FOIA request.
So let me just decode that a little bit out of the
Okay.
legalese. Okay. As chief of police, David Martin became aware of multiple FOIA requests for police documents that were sent to the town of Elloree, for which he would have needed to be the town hall employee responsible for gathering and preparing the responsive documents to the FOIA request.
That's correct.
Defendant Fanning, that is Mike Fanning, our current mayor, the town's mayor, Mike Fanning, and other town officials encouraged David Martin, the chief of police, to disregard and ignore the FOIA requests and to avoid investigating the historical and ongoing financial and evidentiary and other practices of the police department. This is what he alleges, David Martin alleges
Right.
in, what is it? What do they call those? Factual allegations?
Factual allegations. Yes.
So in factual allegation,
Yes, that was 21. Yes. And in 22, David Martin says, I ignored what Mayor Fanning said, and he sought to lawfully respond to the FOIA requests. Now, here's where it gets a little interesting as well. Number
now,
23 has
wait,
multiple
wait,
points. Okay.
before you go on to that, didn't we send in some FOIA requests that we did not get answers to?
So David responded to my FOIA requests. I did receive answers to my FOIA requests, but
What
I
were those
know that
FOIA?
you
Just
had
give me titles
mm,
of your FOIA requests. Were they around the dog? Were they
I yes, they were around the dog. I'm sorry I dropped my pen. They were around the dog, and I think that was the only one that I sent
hmm,
in.
right on?
I
Okay.
believe. I believe.
And so he was able to get those out the door.
Yes, he did get those to me, but it was after, I did have to, it was late getting to me and I had to all but show my behind to get them
Got it.
via email. Yes. So, let's look at
It's
factual allegation number 23. This has multiple little subpoints to it. So, throughout the first half of 2024, as a result of the above described undertakings, plaintiff uncovered multiple instances of potential criminal behavior and mismanagement within the department, including unlabeled criminal evidence housed within the department evidence room. This is not good. We're talking guns, money, drugs, criminal evidence that had gone missing from the evidence room, lack of any evidence log for evidence placed into or removed from the evidence room, payments of thousands of dollars to a local body shop affiliated with defendant town's town council members for work and repairs to vehicles that was never performed. So let's think about this for a minute. Let's just hover over D for just a minute. We've got Donnie Smith, who is sitting in a council seat that is over District 4. We have his cousin and employee, James Kelly Ulmer, also sitting in a council seat, who is now running for mayor. And we have an allegation that the town of Elloree paid thousands of dollars to a local body shop with defendant town's town council members for work and repairs to vehicles that were never done.
That is the allegation.
That is the allegation. Now, E, use
Yeah.
and theft of departmental and town funds for unauthorized personal purchases by defendant Murphree and other officers. So now we've got financial crime number 1, financial crime number 2. Let's keep going. Historical refusals by former defendant Murphree to perform policing duties and services within what he and other defendant town officials considered to be the black, in quotes, predominantly African American parts of defendant town.
So just to, again, to get through the legalese part of it, he's claiming historical refusal by former police chief Shawn Murphree,
Right? Right?
refusals to perform his policing duties and to provide services of the police department within what he and other town officials considered to be the black area or the African American parts of the town. He also, in item G, goes on to state that there were other racist actions and behaviors by defendant Murphree, including that of racial slurs. Cruz, where are we? So let me get in on that. Transfers by the town officials to Shawn Murphree of several department-owned vehicles that were worth thousands of dollars each. for stated purchase prices of approximately $1 with no ascertainable reason for such pricing. So the allegation is that town officials gave essentially to Shawn Murphree, the police chief, thousands of dollars worth of vehicles for a purchase price of around $1 on multiple occasions, not just one, with no ascertainable reason for such transfer. Why?
Right.
Why would they? What is the end game there?
Speculation
Yeah, go
is
ahead and
that
speculate.
my speculation is Sean probably has something hanging over the heads of these said town officials, and
Oh,
this was a great payoff.
nah, I would look at it like this. These guys, I don't think Sean necessarily has anything hanging over their heads. I think they're just corrupt and corrupt together. So I think the way it would work is rather than the town selling the cars, they sell it to Murphy for $1. Murphy then pushes it into, let's say, an auction or puts it up for
Hmm.
sale, sells it, bought it for $1, makes $5,000 on the sale of that particular car, makes $8,000 on the sale of this
And
car. Guess
splits
what?
it.
From Town Hall gets $4,000, and I get $4,000. Someone from Town Hall gets 2,500, and I get 2,500. Now that I could see happening. Did it
Sure.
happen? I'm suggesting that it was certainly possible, and given the level of corruption that I've seen from Shawn Murphree and his buddy Kelly, I have no trouble imagining that that happens. So
Believing that that's what it was. Yep.
I'd love just to see, and I'm looking very forward to understanding the level of proof that David has to back that allegation up.
We have got failure to document and report certain law enforcement matters which are required by state law, regulation, and local ordinance to be documented and reported to SLED and or defendant town's council and or Fanning. So
Mm.
this again goes right back to hiding evidence and failure to report properly.
Right. And then you go from there. Time card fraud resulting in wage theft by the town's town clerk, Jessica Darnell, who is named
Right.
in this lawsuit. She is not named as a defendant, but she is named in this particular allegation
Among others.
that she participated in time card fraud, stealing money from the town. By the way, let me remind you, those of you who are residents of Elloree, if she's stealing from town hall, she's stealing from you. She's police department as an employee, and she's in town hall as an employee, but she's stealing your tax dollars with fraud with her time card.
That's right.
Awesome, Jessica.
Now,
Way to go.
yeah. So let's keep going on Jessica Darnell. Now, I want everybody to keep in mind that this is actually in the summons and complaint. All of this
Yeah.
information that we are discussing is in this court document that was filed on October the 24th, 2025. So
We have
this is not stuff that we are bringing up. This is not stuff that we've made up. This is not anything that has come out of our mouths. We are simply telling you the information that is in the summons and complaint that was filed on behalf of David Martin as the plaintiff by his attorneys. His attorney is Chance Stirrup, I believe, with Cromer, Babb, and Porter LLC out of Columbia, South Carolina. So keep
Yeah.
in mind, these are not from us.
No, we are merely the conduit in this case. You have to understand that if we seem exuberant about it, it's because Krista and I and our families and our friends in Elloree have been dealing with these clowns for years. And we've
Yes,
been explaining that Mayor Mike Fanning is complicit by proxy. And we've been explaining, or by apathy, or both. We've been explaining that Shawn Murphree is a complete and total corrupt piece of garbage, and he's proven it through his actions multiple times on
that's right.
multiple occasions. So it's
That's right.
interesting that one of their own from the inside, David Martin, police chief of Elloree Police Department, these are coming from him. Like I said earlier, the call is coming from inside the house. Let's proceed.
Yes. Okay.
So we talked
So
about the time card fraud of Jessica Darnell. What came after that? intentional deletion of approximately 10 of departmental digital records by Darnell. David Martin is alleging that Jessica Darnell intentionally deleted approximately 10 years of departmental digital records, which occurred after Darnell learned that David Martin was inquiring into previous unlawful actions occurring within Town Hall and within the town's police department.
Right.
So just to be clear, the newly appointed town police chief goes and starts investigating. Sounds proper to me. And in return, he gets Jessica Darnell, who he says responded by deleting digital records. Now, I want to say something that's important here. One of our town's members and her husband walked into town hall after Shawn Murphree had been arrested, after our former police chief had been arrested and was put on administrative leave, walked into town hall and found him and his girlfriend shredding documents using a document shredder.
And I will tell you that I requested the video from that day via FOIA request, and that was one of the FOIAs that I did not receive back.
Right. And no response.
No response. No response. Yes.
So
now,
David himself has opened these allegations with the town hall's willful disregard of FOIAs and actually their apparent request for him to comply with their wishes of not responding to them.
That's
covering
right.
things.
That's right. Now, let's listen to this one. Now, this one is hard to believe. Y'all, you can't make this stuff up. Attempted arson of the department's evidence room by Darnell days before the scheduled audit of evidence room by SLED. She attempted to burn down our historic town hall. This isn't the new one. This is the one on Cleveland Street that has that is meaningful, has history, part of the history of Elloree. She attempted to burn it down.
Well, let me just say this. The allegation is that she attempted to burn it down, but what's important is it is 2 doors down from an apartment building.
Correct.
The bank building is it's a couple doors away. And it's a door or two away from a restaurant where people go and eat.
Right.
And if this allegation is true, then Jessica Darnell attempted to start a fire in a dwelling, in a building adjacent to residential buildings. It's an astonishing allegation.
It is. It is.
And I think it demands investigation. I think that what David saw and encountered and uncovered needs to be taken seriously, and an investigation needs to happen, whether that's SLED, whether whoever that is.
That's right.
According to the conversation I had today with Earl Kinley and our magistrate,
Margot Banks.
Thank you. I always forget that name.
You're welcome.
Sorry, Honorable Margot Banks. According to that conversation, those investigations have been, apparently those investigations have been done, and apparently nothing to see here. That's what as in particular, Earl had to say to me, is that, oh no, SLED came and did that. They didn't find anything. And
I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
Well,
I think it
begs the question. We'll find out about what those investigations, when they actually happen, because I would say that if an investigation happened, it happened under auspices that did not include the revelations that are in this allegation or in these allegations.
Right.
And I think that now investigations need to take place under the knowledge of these allegations, and you need to talk with David Martin. And, I have to talk out of both sides of my mouth where David Martin is concerned. I know that he fucked me over and lied and pursued what he knew was a bullshit warrant on a complete and total bullshit charge. I know that for a fact. I know that and so when you get to the end of this, you're going to see where he kind of touches on it, but he doesn't get deep enough to immediately put himself in danger, because he doesn't say anything specific about that particular thing. He touches on it, but not in a manner in which would put him in jeopardy for his police work or lack thereof.
That's
or his intention. But that does have to be addressed. I think the fact that he even came close to it is indicative of him. It's pretty risky, I think, in my opinion, because he's
Right.
opening the door for things to be discussed. He's going to have to answer questions about it. His record, where that's concerned, I have proof of David Martin's phone calls with me. You know me, I record
That's
everything
right.
and
That's right.
have records out the wazoo. I have everything on camera when he came to my buildings. I have everything on camera when he wasn't at my buildings. I've got him on camera. I've got
Right.
records just about everything. I've got him recorded in his phone calls. I have his phone. I
Right.
have the phone related to his communications with me. And by the way, when he thought he was texting, I believe Shawn Murphree, he was actually texting me. This was
Yeah.
before the warrant was drafted. This was when I had called them to report a trailer stolen,
Right.
and
Right.
David Martin's response was to communicate with Shawn and then realize, oh shit, I'm communicating with Tim Gibbs.
Right.
It's just,
Right. Yeah.
I also have that. So, uh,
So, yeah. All
let's
right.
continue.
So next up, we have got this one. This one is relating to Kelly Ulmer, who is running for mayor, and I cannot emphasize enough, y'all, that your vote is important. We have got to keep Kelly out of office, and this is why. This is what we're
Kelly
facing.
running for mayor for only one reason. It's not to improve the town of
No,
Elloree.
no,
To cover his own ass
that's right.
in whatever nefarious shit he played a
Yep,
part of, while Shawn Murphree was the police chief, and
that's
whatever
right.
these kick means, whatever and beyond what's being alleged here, I'm
Right.
sure.
So
So
we have
proceed.
kickback payments
Yeah,
between the town and Kelly Ulmer, who is a
yeah,
town council member, in which
uh-huh.
Kelly Ulmer, who operates a tow truck company, receives funds for towing vehicles impounded by the town's police department. Kelly Ulmer admitted that he evaluates the effectiveness of Town Hall's police department in his role as a town council member based upon the revenue that he makes from the police department related tows in any given time period. So, what this is saying to me is Kelly tows the vehicles based on what his revenue is in those tows. He then turns around and he evaluates the police department's effectiveness based on how much money he is making in his tow business. Here's the problem: he's a council member. He is not allowed to make money from any part of the town as a council member. This is unethical and it has to be stopped.
Well, I mean, it's also indicative
It's
of
criminal.
it's indicative of greater corruption. For example,
Yes,
if you're let's take the towing and let's discuss it under the light of the allegations related to evidence. If you're not properly logging in evidence, as David Martin suggests,
right.
that evidence is possibly coming from stops that you make and cars
Hmm.
that you tow.
Hmm.
And those people, they might have actually done something wrong in their own mind. They might be like, oh shit, I'm busted here for drugs or this or that.
Hmm.
And maybe they don't ever call you to pick up that $5,000 or $10,000 jalopy that you towed because
Right.
it puts them in too much. So they don't ever make the phone call, and you don't ever make the phone call, and you don't properly log in the drugs or the guns or the
That's
cash
right.
or all that you
You
pulled out
just
of that car.
stash them in a storage box and put them in the
And if
evidence room and
box
never
not
account
locked,
for it.
then you can take them out of there and you can sell them. Nobody knows
Right.
it.
Nobody
Nobody's
knows.
aware of the bullshit that you're pulling off.
That's right.
So I want to make a point here. Why not log properly the cash by serial number the way you're supposed to? Why not
Yeah.
log the drug the way you're supposed to? Why not log the gun by serial number the way you're supposed to? Because if you don't log it, then you can steal it.
And you
If you
can
don't
sell
log,
it.
you can sell it.
And you can buy a boat with it, or you can buy
So
an
it,
Audi, brand new Audi with it, or you can do whatever with it that you want. because now you've
So
got cash money. I mean,
so
come on.
if you are actively participating in a willful
Mhm.
cover up of, or let me say it this way, if you're actively participating in not logging evidence properly, you're doing it for a reason. And
That's
the
right.
only reason, knowing that it can jeopardize you, the only reason to put yourself in that jeopardy is if you're doing something with it that is nefarious, i.e.,
Right.
stealing it, selling it.
Whatever.
So it needs that really needs to be considered, investigated. What David's saying here needs to be it needs to be taken seriously. And by the way, you go
That's right.
all the way back up to the top of the allegation, and you remember that what he was saying about Mike Fanning is that, well, let's get into that because he comes back to Mike Fanning. Let's go to the next one.
Yes. Yes.
Come on.
The plaintiff, David Martin, promptly reported his discoveries of each of the above matters to defendant Fanning.
That
Fanning
is the
took no
mayor.
action. Mayor Fanning took no action in response to learning of the above described issues within the town. Instead, Mayor Fanning informed retired ex Police Chief Shawn Murphree and Kelly Ulmer, active council member, of David Martin's investigation and findings into the above described issues. Now, here's the problem. Why on earth was Murphree involved in any of this? He had no dealings
Because
with the town
he
whatsoever any longer.
because because he was because Mayor Mike Fanning presided over years of Murphy using and abusing the
His
system, the
power.
law, oath that he was supposed to
Yes.
uphold is
Uh-huh.
well said. And Mike Fanning allegedly knew about it, and Mike Fanning allegedly allowed it to go on. And allegedly, based on this complaint, Mike Fanning put Shawn Murphree and Kelly Ulmer's ability to escape justice above the operational responsibilities he has as mayor
That's right.
to the
Now here's the
community.
next one. Yes, and
And,
this
and this I
proves
put
it.
himself too. Yeah,
This
go ahead.
proves it right here. Mayor
Yeah.
Fanning,
Well, I
Shawn
don't know.
Murphy.
Well, let me say one thing. You got to be careful because it's an allegation.
That's right.
But,
Well, it
you
doesn't
know,
prove it. Here's the allegation. That's right.
right.
That's right. So Mayor Fanning, Shawn Murphy, Kelly Ulmer, each thereafter pressured David Martin to cease investigations into the above described issues. Particularly, each repeatedly requested and pressured David Martin to block any SLED audit of the department's evidence room.
Wow. I
If
think that
that allegation is true, if that turns to be true, and if there's any truth to that at all, that is positive that the corruption and the cover up is bigger than anybody could have imagined. If any
Mhm.
part of that statement is true.
Well, I gotta say, when it comes to this allegation number 27, I go back to the phone call I just had today with Earl
Mhm.
Kinley and how dismissive he was about anything wrong going on.
Right,
And I mean, his narrative is that he doesn't know about anything, any wrongdoing going on where the evidence room or was concerned, doesn't know anything about it, and that it's been investigated by SLED and there's nothing to see here. It's just
right,
completely dismissed. And you read this from a former police chief from the department, a guy from the inside. And again, I have to say, this is a difficult case for David Martin to bring. It's a difficult complaint, really, because
mhm,
it shows him immediately adjacent to extremely bad behavior.
mhm,
And I would argue it's very hard for him to come off this document and all these allegations entirely clean himself. Because really what this calls into question is, hey, why didn't you do A, B, and C immediately when you started to encounter this, right? Why didn't you
right,
go to this person,
right,
that person? So there are, in other words, he really does put himself at least adjacent to jeopardy with the filing of this complaint.
right, right, right.
That's it. I'm looking at it, I'm reading it, and I'm thinking, fuck. I mean, holy shit. All right. Item
All right.
28.
Yes.
So again, Kelly Ulmer, Murphree, who is not a police officer here at the time, he'd already been fired, but they allowed him to stay on an administrative leave until he made enough time to retire.
Right.
That in and of itself is corrupt. The guy never should have been able to retire. He never should have made his retirement.
No.
He's a
No.
dirty cop. Never should have made his retirement. And
That's
they
right.
just facilitate that. It's total scumbaggery. So let's look here. 28. When
Yep.
plaintiff refused to call off the sled audit of the evidence room, the above described attempted arson of the evidence room by Darnell occurred. Okay.
Right.
So David Martin, as police chief, refused to call off the sled audit. So what does Jessica Darnell do? According to him, she tries to
She
burn the
tries to
place.
burn it down. So David Martin then investigated Darnell for the attempted arson of the evidence room.
Right.
David requested a subpoena seeking Darnell's text messages for the relevant time period from the municipal judge for defendant Lauren Davis.
Now, Lauren Davis, let's talk about her, where my case pertains. And for a first-time offender, what did she do? She gave him a $75,000 bail on what she alleged was a $3,000 crime. Keep in mind, it was a false, phony crime that never took place. There was no such thing.
Right.
And yet, $75,000 with an ankle monitor and a house confinement. Now, thank God because she so dramatically overstepped that they emergency bail hearing and they adjusted my bail accordingly.
And removed the ankle monitor.
And eventually dismissed the case, not once but twice. Lauren Smith had headed for the hills by then. She ran from Elloree. When you read this complaint, you start to understand why.
Yes.
Well, let's continue.
Well, and point number 31 says that she and Mr. Murphree apparently had an interesting romantic relationship, allegedly. Okay, so we'll move on. Take 32.
Lauren Davis refused. This is important. Lauren Davis allegedly refused to sign the subpoena unless David Martin, the police chief, agreed to exclude any messages exchanged between her and Jessica Darnell. I'm going to state that again.
Yes,
David Martin
please.
is saying, the former police chief of Elloree is saying that Lauren Davis Smith, the magistrate of Elloree, refused to sign the subpoena he was seeking unless David agreed to exclude any messages exchanged between Lauren Davis and Jessica Darnell. Davis also refused to sign the subpoena unless plaintiff requested additional similar subpoenas for defendant employees who were not suspects in the investigation. Davis pressured plaintiff to direct his investigation toward other defendant employees instead of Darnell. Davis signed the subpoena for Darnell's messages eventually. And on the next business day, however, she alleged that she did not have jurisdiction to sign the subpoena and directed David Martin to recall the subpoenas, stating that she had withdrawn her signature and approval. In the following days, Lauren Davis Smith allegedly summoned David Martin to court for an impromptu meeting in the courtroom following traffic court. Davis had arranged for Darnell and defendant James Kelly Ulmer and Darnell's significant other at the time, defendant police department employee Lieutenant Michael Mann, to be present. Davis proceeded to scold David Martin for investigating Darnell's involvement in the potential arson, stating that Darnell, who was also a town victims advocate, was under the sole authority of Lauren Davis Smith, and the plaintiff warned David Martin to, quote, stay in your lane.
Right. Stay in your lane.
This is
stay in your lane.
Yeah. So we're just to be clear, this allegation calls Lauren Davis Smith corrupt. I have no trouble believing that.
Right.
Along with Murphree, we have no doubt about that.
Right.
Kelly Ulmer, I have no doubt about that.
Mike Fanning? None of them.
Mike Fanning. Mike Fanning. Mike Fanning. Wow. So just this apathy? What the fuck, Mike?
Yeah.
But again, let's just revisit this idea. This complaint is stating unequivocally that Lauren Davis Smith, a magistrate of the court, is basically allegedly corrupt, that
Right.
she was carrying a years-long affair with our former disgraced police chief, and that proactively refused to do her duty and refused to meet her responsibilities as a
As an
judge.
appointed magistrate, as a judge.
Is that part of why she took off out of here?
I don't know if she was forced to take off or if she took off on her own. If she was, well, she's gone, and it was shortly after the situation occurred with you that she was.
And
Within
so I
within days, within
So
days.
let's get into this. Item 37, the plaintiff reported strange occurrences that he had with Lauren Davis Smith to Mike Fanning, the mayor,
Right?
and Mike Fanning and the town took no action in relation to Davis's conduct. Now,
Correct.
maybe they did take action, and part of why Lauren Davis Smith was out of Elloree was because maybe she was asked to leave by the mayor. But when I talked to the mayor in my mediation, the mayor made it sound like many of these people, including Lauren Davis Smith, just went on about their business, finding employment elsewhere because they found greener pastures. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. 39. Throughout the remainder of employment, David Martin continued to pursue the investigation of and the deliverance of justice for the above described criminal, fraudulent, wasteful, neglectful, and fraudulent activities described above. Now we move to 40.
Right.
Following David Martin's reports of the above described issues, an anonymous letter was submitted to Mayor Fanning and defendant town council regarding David Martin. The anonymous letter made outlandish and obviously false allegations against the plaintiff, such as threatening a citizen with rape and murder during a routine traffic stop. That sounds like something Shawn Murphree has been accused of in the past, as well as blaming the plaintiff for the very above described issues that plaintiff was investigating. Many details of this letter were from confidential investigations of David Martin, which had not been made public, which tells us right there that there was a leak in town hall and Shawn Murphree, Jessica Darnell, Mike Mann, whoever made the letter, had all of the information.
This just brazen disregard for the law. I have proof of what these guys are capable of. Shawn Murphree, his buddy Kelly, plenty of reasons to be afraid. But overcoming that and being vocal and being as truthful as possible about what you've encountered at their hands is crucial, not only for me to get it out, but for others to know it. And it's about fucking time that everybody paid attention and understands who they're dealing with here. Lauren Davis Smith, corrupt. Shawn Murphree, corrupt. Kelly Ulmer, corrupt. Michael Mann, corrupt. Jessica Darnell, corrupt. And guess what? Mayor Mike Fanning, if you participated in the cover-up or resistance of the reporting of these crimes as alleged by your former police chief David Martin, then you too, sir, are corrupt. And it would not surprise me that all you corrupt motherfuckers are together in the same big comfortable cabal, because that's what it looks like.
There you go. That's what it looks like. That is exactly what it looks like. Okay.
Yeah.
The contents of the letter suggest that the letter's source from either Darnell or Mann. David Martin required Mike Mann to submit to a polygraph test to determine if Mann was involved in the submission of the letter or attempted arson, consistent with the defendant's policy as suggested by SLED personnel. So the town's policy and the suggestion from SLED personnel required that Mann submit to a polygraph test to see if he had anything to do with the letter or the attempted arson.
Right.
Mayor Fanning acknowledged that the town's policy supported Mann having a polygraph test, but Mayor Fanning begged David Martin not to send Mann for polygraph testing.
That's the
David
allegation.
Martin insisted that Mann undergo the testing. Mann refused and walked away from the department. Those are the allegations. Now, point number 47. As allegations of the letter were obviously fake, no action was taken by the town against David Martin as a result. This gets a little interesting here. On May 29th, 2025, David Martin was involved in a single vehicle accident while driving a town's own vehicle. Consistent with the town's policy, David Martin timely submitted to a urine drug screen following the accident. David's urine tested positive for amphetamines and methamphetamines. Now, here's the kicker, and this is what we get into next. David Martin was prescribed ADHD medication, which in a standard drug test will show up as an amphetamine or a methamphetamine. You have to do a more detailed test, which David did and paid for on his own.
Yeah, and it was 500 bones. Hey, right?
Yeah, it was
$500.
500 bones, and it showed that, yes, in fact, it was ADHD medication. Now, David Martin also provided the town with the results of the tests, the medication. He also submitted his prescriptions and a statement from his prescribing medical provider showing that he was actually prescribed medication for ADHD. Now, here's where it gets a little interesting. So let me just make this point. Allegedly, Shawn Murphree was previously involved in a single car accident in the town's vehicle, but he was never requested to have a drug test. So, questions can be raised around that. Now,
well, listen, there's no question that given what David Martin is stating here in his complaint, there's no question that if those allegations are at all true, they would certainly see this as an opportunity to get rid of David. And that's exactly, they tried to use it as a premise to get rid of him.
That's right. That's right. On June 25th, 2025, at a town council meeting, David Martin learned that Kelly Ulmer, on or about April 12th, 2025, stole a department radio from a town vehicle that was worth several thousands of dollars. Now we have theft again.
Hold on. Time out. Just to be clear, I just want to translate that. The guy who's currently our town councilman, Kelly James Ulmer, who has got a list of felonies a mile long behind him,
correct,
including kidnapping, including violence against women,
correct,
including
charges,
on another gun charges, including theft, and including on the other side, on the civil side, a judgment for refusing to pay his child support of almost $32,000. That guy is running for mayor. That guy stole a police radio, allegedly, and did what with it, Krista?
That was worth several $1,000s. Now, here's the problem with that.
Why would he steal it? Why would he do that? Why would he have that in his possession?
To know what is going on in the town, to know what the police activity is, to know who's getting pulled over and who's getting stopped and who's got a warrant out and who's going to get served with paperwork or
what they're investigating, right? I mean, remember, he's in more trouble at this point. This alleges that the investigation that David is doing, the investigations, because there's more than one here. This document is by this document's rationale, Murphree, Ulmer, apparently based on his behavior, Mike Fanning and others at town hall were in extreme jeopardy based on these investigations.
You're right.
So if you want to hear what's going on, I want to hear what's going on to see if I'm going to get picked up tomorrow. No?
That's right. That's right. You got it. You got it. So now during that meeting, apparently Mayor Fanning retrieved the radio from Kelly Ulmer. And the radio, it's interesting because that particular radio is linked to other radios that are utilized within the department, enabling Kelly Ulmer or to listen into confidential police communications relating to ongoing criminal matters. So there it is. There it is. That is a complete and utter violation of confidentiality laws. So the plaintiff stated to the town, including Fanning and Ulmer, that he intended to open a criminal investigation into the theft of the radio and report the matter to SLED. In the same meeting, the town placed David Martin on administrative leave. The town falsely and pretextually alleged that David's suspension was due to his drug screen result. Mayor Fanning thereafter discussed David's positive drug test. Now, listen to this. This is HIPAA. This is major stuff. This is a HIPAA violation. Mayor Fanning thereafter discussed David Martin's positive drug tests, medical conditions, prescription regimen with individuals who are not town employees or otherwise within any need to know basis or scope of any privilege. Mike Fanning allegedly, based on this portion of the complaint, violated HIPAA laws.
That's the least of his worries.
Right, right. On July 8th, 2025, David Martin notified Mayor Fanning and town council, including Kelly Ulmer, that he intended to file complaints with SLED and the South Carolina State Ethics Commission regarding the various criminal and ethical misconduct described above occurring with defendant town and committed by town's officials and employees. On July 11th, the town had an impromptu meeting of its town council. The town failed to provide at least 24-hour notice of the July 11th meeting. The town discouraged its employees from informing any members of the public of the July 11th, and the plaintiff nor members of the public would have the opportunity to be present or offer public comments upon the town's decisions with respect to David Martin's employment. So, according to the Municipal Association of South Carolina, the town has to give written notification 24 hours before any meeting is held. On July the 10th, that notification should have gone out. It did not. So they were going to have a special meeting to discuss David Martin's employment and the future employment with the Town of Elloree Police Department without any town involvement and without David having knowledge or being present at that meeting. It's a complete violation of the Municipal Association of South Carolina policies and procedures.
Yeah.
The town gave no reason for the plaintiff's termination. The town later reported to the South Carolina Criminal Justice Academy that David Martin was not terminated for misconduct, which by statute would include unlawful use of a controlled substance. Now, they told David that he was being let go because of his drug use, even though the medication was prescribed by his doctor, and there was proof presented of that. But now they're saying that he was not terminated for misconduct. And we know this to be true because if you remember correctly, in the article in the Times and Democrat, Mike Fanning specifically said that the Town of Elloree Police Department has decided to go in a different direction. So we know that the town did not list him as terminated for misconduct. Now let's talk about this alleged statement. But I think it's interesting and I think it's telling because this next statement gives us an idea of what he truly thinks about his best buddy, Shawn Murphree. On previous occasions, Mayor Fanning admitted to David Martin that Kelly Ulmer sought for David Martin to be terminated and replace because David Martin was, in quotes, not his puppet as Kelly Ulmer perceived Murphree to be. That's pretty telling. Kelly Ulmer is a convicted felon with a variety of serious violent and drug-related convictions. Kelly Ulmer and Shawn Murphree have a documented history of conspiring against other defendant town employees or citizens who they disfavor, including harassing, threatening, defaming, and otherwise seeking to cause harm to such disfavored individuals. Let's pause on that for just a minute.
You think? Excuse me, I just spit. Let's put a face on that for a minute.
I
Is
can
that my good?
remember.
That's my better side. Let's put a face on that for a minute. I should bring
Yeah.
my wife in here, put her in it, because they did that to
So,
us.
and you and I have our own feelings about that. We believe that there is truth in what's being said here because you and I have lived it. We've lived every allegation that is in this document. You and I have lived it firsthand.
You know what I love, Krista, is that all these assholes go to church and pretend that they're like godly and Christian. They're
Yeah.
also foolish.
Yeah. And Mike Fanning is the biggest hypocrite of them all. He should be ashamed of himself. And quite frankly, he needs to be run out of town for what he has done to the people of Elloree. Tim, this does not have anything to do with me. It doesn't have anything to do with my family. It has everything to do with the fact that Mike Fanning has betrayed the people of Elloree, and he needs to be held accountable for his actions. I am beyond angry at Mayor Fanning. He has betrayed every single one of the people that live in Elloree. His friends, his church members, the deacons at Elloree First Baptist Church, his children, his wife, the youth that he has counseled at that church. He has betrayed every single one of us, and shame on him.
If the allegations are true, then I would agree with you wholeheartedly. If these allegations that David levels in here are true, then one would be forced to recognize that Mayor Fanning is not someone who's simply tries to keep an arm's distance between himself and any kind of alleged wrongdoing at the town hall or adjacently in the police department, but rather someone who's actually complicit in cover-ups and allowing bad behavior to continue. And I would agree with you then in that case, he would be,
he should be ashamed of himself.
What would say about him.
And in my opinion, I know that from a Christian perspective, you have a relationship with Jesus Christ and you believe that he is your personal Lord and Savior and you're going to heaven. But I'm sorry, but I just, with Mike Fanning, if he has truly done the things that are alleged in this document and in this lawsuit, if he's done this, I believe that there's a special place in hell for him, not heaven. That's just where I'm at. And here's the second part of that.
If it comforts you at all, Mike, I don't believe that there's a lake of fire awaiting anyone, even not you. Maybe that gives you some comfort.
But yeah, so and Kelly Ulmer has taken the same exact oath that Mike Fanning took. And if Kelly Ulmer, which we all know what and who Kelly Ulmer is, but same thing. He should be ashamed of himself, but he's not.
Kelly Ulmer doesn't care about members of this community.
Right.
Kelly Ulmer cares about
Kelly Ulmer
cares about how he has used this community and his relationships with law enforcement. And he cares about covering up any nefarious shit that he played a part in. That's why he's running this. And I think, remember, this whole bid for Kelly Ulmer to have a position in town hall, it started before the wheels came off the cart for Shawn.
Right. And Mike Fanning gives Kelly Ulmer his full endorsement. He made him mayor pro tem. And here's another thing. We got Kelly Ulmer and Mike Fanning signing the checks at town hall. What kind of corruption's happening there? Okay, so it's point number 74.
Yeah.
Following David Martin's termination Shawn Murphree, and Kelly Ulmer by themselves and or through others at their explicit encouragement or direction cause to be posted upon various websites such as Facebook using fake or anonymous screen names, defamatory messages regarding Martin. So we know because you and I and other family members, other members of the town of Elloree have also been attacked on social media and lied about and slandered, and our businesses.
I want to just, I mean, I know it's, first of all, we have to say this. This has got to be said. We are going to post this document in its entirety for you to review it. Those of you who wish to dive into just what this alleges, I highly recommend that if you have any interest at all in understanding what the fuck has gone on in this crazy mixed up town, you should take a look at this and see what
Right.
this police chief is alleging. Now, that said, I know for a fact that this same guy lied his ass off when it came to maliciously prosecuting me.
Mhm.
And I know that he played a role in that malicious prosecution. So he is not the ideal witness for me. I read this, it rings true because I know of Shawn Murphree and what he's capable of. I know that Kelly Ulmer is an absolute and total piece of shit. Just read his history. That's also public knowledge. And I've experienced both of them working together to try to defame me or hurt me or get me
Right.
in jeopardy, etc. So no trouble believing any of that. And I have no trouble believing that Jessica Darnell and her little boyfriend had, played the roles that David alleges there. Yeah, I'm in a difficult situation. In one sense, I know that David Martin has lied and pursued malicious results where he shouldn't have. And I watched him self-preserve when he didn't show up to the emergency bail hearing, for example, when he never provided evidence of any kind. He tried to reinstate the case even after I had taken the things that he had alleged that I sold and returned them to the alleged victim. The reason I was able to do that is because they were always in my store or in my storage adjacent to my store. They had never sold.
You mean the store that they told you that they told everybody that you shut
Well,
down
that
and
that was the narrative
sold
Shawn
and
was pushing.
yeah,
And, again,
yeah.
David, it's funny to hear David talk about the slander he's endured in the public space and social media. It's exactly what happened to me. And in fact,
Mhm.
some of David's phony warrant was predicated on these things that they were pushing in
Right.
social media. So I guess it doesn't feel so good for you, David, when the shoe is on the other foot there, my man. But on the
Right.
same time, it's difficult with David because I look at this and I see, I think he's doing very good work here. I have no trouble believing, as I said, his allegations here.
Right.
Given my own experience with these people, I think this is great work that he's doing for a very, very good cause that transcends whatever I happen to think about him and what he did to me.
I want to go over the cause of action. These are the actual um items that and there are multiple. I'm not going to go through them. I'm just going to read the headers. As far as I'm concerned, we can post these online for folks to look at and they can read through the rest of it. We've gone through the first 12 pages, 11 pages of this. But the first cause of action is violation of South Carolina whistleblower law against defendant town. The second cause of action is wrongful discharge against the town. The third cause of action, isn't this interesting? Civil conspiracy against Ulmer, Murphree, and Fanning. Fourth cause of action, defamation per se against Murphree and Ulmer. Fifth cause of action, violation of South Carolina Freedom of Information Act against the town. And I believe that is it. So those are some conspiracy. It's interesting because conspiracy can be construed and it can be brought in a federal court of law, but every single allegation, just about every single allegation that is in this complaint, the summons and complaint, can result in criminal charges. So not only is the town being sued for these allegations, but we've got three other defendants who could potentially be brought up on some criminal charges. because of what's happened here.
Yeah, if there's not criminal referrals associated with this, if this doesn't cause real investigative work to go on with these
Yeah,
people, and it's not and there's no criminal charges that come from this, then it's
doesn't
it's just astonishing. Are they going to decertify him now? Are they going to
no, they
look at
won't
all this
decertify him.
shit,
I don't
all
think they
these
will.
accusations around missing evidence, all these accusations around guns, drugs, and money, all these accusations about financial impropriety? Are they gonna fucking decertify this guy now? Or are
What
they gonna
I what I
continue?
hope what I hope will happen is that criminal charges will be brought up against him, and he will be tried in the criminal court. I want to see Shawn Murphree right where he needs to be, and it is not roaming the street, being able to flash a badge or carry a gun. That is not where Shawn Murphy needs to be, behind bars. Period. End of discussion.
Makes you wonder when the judicial branch in South Carolina and the police academy, the SCCJA, and the police who are charged with policing the police, SLED,
Right.
when they're all law enforcement,
Excuse me.
judicial, when they're and politicians too, and they're gonna come together and they're going to take a hard look at this shit and finally hold these people accountable and get rid of them once and for all.
I can only hope that we are able to keep the good guys and get rid of the bad guys,
You
because
show
there
me a good
are
guy in any of this, and I'd be really happy to keep them. Show me
right.
where the good guy is. Where's the good
Well,
guy?
I don't not in this situation, I don't see a good guy, but I'm talking about in our law enforcement officials overall. I wanna be able to keep the good guys and filter out the bad guys, not necessarily just Ellery, but across the board.
Yeah. Well, look, with that in mind, we've covered a lot tonight. I'm going to turn the recorder off. Before I do, I just want to say this. This was our emergency episode 4. This was to educate voters about what is happening in Elloree right now. It's to give voters in Elloree the opportunity to understand the bombshell allegations that have come out from our former police chief, David Martin, against the town of Elloree, against its mayor, Mike Fanning, against a mayoral candidate, James Kelly Ulmer, and against, of course, Shawn Edward Murphree.
Right. And folks, I want to let you guys know that you know, Tim has had a full day of working. Dan and I have had a full day of working. It is now 20 minutes to 1 in the morning. We are tired, but we do this not for our benefit, but for your benefit. It is so important that you understand the magnitude of your vote and your voice. If Kelly Ulmer gets into the mayor's seat, we are going to have another at least 4 years of this corrupt behavior. We cannot allow that to happen. This is not a personal vendetta. This is not anything that has to do with my personal feelings towards Kelly or any of the other candidates. This is a situation where the town of Elloree has been shrouded in secrecy for far too long, and it is time that we wake up, quit being complacent, and put someone into office that will protect Elloree and her citizens. Period.
I'm with
End of
you.
discussion.
I'm
Kelly
totally
Ulmer
with
is not that person.
I'm with that, Krista. I would say, look, those of you who actually have an interest in the community and its future, in its people, those folks are the ones I'm speaking to. They're the ones I hope we reach. You're not always going to agree with what I say or with what Krista says or whatever, and we don't expect that. And speaking for me, at least, I don't expect that. I don't need that. But I do
Right.
hope to be able to reach and have some kind of a conversation that is enlightening for both of us and ultimately leads to a better community in Ellery and maybe even beyond. Who knows? Anyway, how great it is
Yeah.
to talk to you. Appreciate it. Wish it were under different circumstances, but at the same time, it does feel good that someone so close to all of this, i.e., the police chief, someone
Right.
inside, was willing to come out and level such extraordinary allegations and bring some light where we already saw some light. We already believed that we were seeing some things, but to get to this is quite an affirmation to our accusations, and it's
Right.
just
Tim, we've been living this since April of 2023 and before. The slander and the defamation and the harassment all started in April. I'm sorry, April of 2023. Prior to that, we had run-ins with Kelly Ulmer. We had run-ins with Shawn Murphree. We had run-ins with Mike Fanning. And when we brought those to the attention of some people, it was just brushed off. And
Yeah.
that was discouraging, and for your family and my family to be treated in the manner in which we've been treated over the last 4 to 5 years, it's disgraceful. And shame on anyone who is complacent enough to allow that to happen. I don't care if you're an official or if you're a resident. If you stand as a person of honor and a person of moral values, and you allow that kind of BS to happen to anyone in your community, shame on you.
Yeah, Krista, I agree. And I would just say that, none of us are entitled to necessarily much, right? In my
Right.
opinion, my worldview is really resistant to entitlement of any kind. So I don't really have an expectation that I'm
But
supposed to be.
kindness to your neighbor,
Well, this is what I'm getting at, that I don't take personally really. Well, let me put it this way. When I'm thinking clearly and feeling clearly, I don't take personally what these guys did to me and my family. I reflect on the fact that the driving force of what they're doing is they want to preserve and protect their corrupt ways. They want to keep
right,
making money in a corrupted fashion. They want to keep skirting the law and preventing the law from catching up with them in a corrupt fashion. And when something or someone or someones come along and begin to
mhm,
threaten that, they'll go to great lengths to try to stay out of trouble and preserve their nefarious ways. And that's
right,
what we see here. So when I'm able to take myself out of it, and make it less personal, which is not all the time. The truth is, when I stand back from it, these are just bad people doing bad things to try to cover up the other bad shit they already did.
right,
It's
right,
just that
right.
simple. And what I really want to see is, let's get rid of the bad guys. Let's get rid of the bad girls. And there were both in this scenario.
Yes, there.
And let's get them replaced with people who actually take their oath seriously and take seriously the responsibility of running an entity that represents the inhabitants of a community, because that's
Right.
all what it is. All right. So I want to thank
All right.
everybody for hanging in there with us. I want to thank everybody for watching. This is our first video podcast. So you've been able to watch the beautiful Krista Hassel, who I
Mhm.
want to comment on your hair, which I think looks absolutely beautiful tonight.
Thank you. Thank you.
You've been able to determine whether or not the mustache is working and whether or not I
I
need to,
like it.
what I should do with that thing that's developing down there. The hell is that? Suck. Anyway, besides all of that, it's been great. So we'll catch you
Yeah.
guys in the next podcast, which I imagine going forward is going to be video from here on out, right?
Yeah, I like it.
I like it
I
too.
like it. Yeah, it worked.
Krista, I love you, and I've had a great time. We'll catch you later.
Love you back. Later, Gator. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
See ya.